This is very, very disappointing indeed, especially coming from a man who set himself up at a pedestal, set standards he said people in public life should follow. Today, running away from the piercing gaze of the headlines today camera. Tonight on Center Stage, we've put together people who've been largely sympathetic to the Aam Aadmi Party cause. And I must tell our viewers that once again, no official representative from the Aam Aadmi Party has been sent on Center Stage. This is a story Kejriwal and his party are hoping will just go away. They're brazening it out. They don't even have the courage to answer simple questions. Let's just take this one by one. And I have some very specific questions because Arvind Kejriwal has been responding on Twitter. He's been retweeting. He's been running away from the cameras. But I have some questions for you, Mr. Kejriwal. Who removed Somnath Bharti's name from the Top Sites LLC registry details? Let's take the second question. We showed earlier this website was registered in the name of Somnath Bharti. Those details have been changed. It needs to be investigated when that happened, why it happened, who did it. Did Somnath Bharti know about this? And I must say at the outset, I don't have the answers to all these questions. This is why, in the same manner in which you're ordering a probe against Reliance Industries, you want Gadkari probed, you want everyone else under the sun probed, in the same fashion, you, Mr. Chief Minister, must order a probe and let the answers emerge. I'm putting out some more questions. Were registry records changed as a consequence of the expose that's been put out because Somnath Bharti knew he was getting into politics, because he knew he might get into trouble with his past? Were these details changed as a consequence of that? Why is Arvind Kejriwal not ordering a probe into charges against Somnath Bharti? If you've got nothing to hide, order a probe, lodge an FIR, get an independent retired judge to probe, let the truth emerge. For all you know, and I met Somnath Bharti this afternoon at the Delhi Secretariat. We spent about 25 minutes together. His principal contention is that there was an associate who misused his name in the past. I have some questions if that is true. If there is indeed an associate who's misused your name, why has Somnath Bharti not sued him? And why is Kejriwal not raising this question? Is it not double standards to accuse others of all manner of crime, and yet your first instinct is to protect your own when charges are leveled against one of your own ministers? Why this double standards? You should be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion. Say, I have nothing to do with this man. If there are charges against him, let it be probed. This is what you ask for others. Why don't you do that yourself? If Somnath Bharti's associate misused his name, why has Somnath still not sued Paul Ogner? And this is the question that there simply is no answer to. Even if I were to believe for a moment that there was an associate who did all of this without the permission of Delhi's law minister, why has this associate not been sued? Why has a case not been filed against him? Let's just take you through some of the other important factors, And I want to take you through the legal notice. Somnath Bharti was live tweeting during Center Stage last evening, saying that I've sent a legal notice. So let's take you through the contents of this legal notice. This is what Somnath Bharti is saying in his defense. And I sat and I counted through those 5 pages. There are only questions. There are no answers. Not a single substantive question that has been asked has been answered. But this is what Somnath Bharti is asking us. Just take it from the top once again. Question number 1. What time were the guests invited? And I want the Center Stage panelists for tonight to listen very carefully to these questions. What time were the guests invited? What time did they confirm? That's the next question. How was the invitation sent? How was the confirmation received? This is what Somnath Bharti's defense is. This is what his legal argument is. These are the questions he wants us to answer. Provide details about the information received from Conrad Longmore. Next question, sorry. When did you get in touch with Conrad Longmore? He's got some more questions. What information was shared by Conrad Longmore with you? Now, this is what is being said in defense of Somnath Bharti. None of the substantive issues about the association with Top Sites, about this dubious associate who Somnath claims misused his name and identity and perpetuated this fraud, and why no action has been taken against him. None of those questions have been answered. These questions instead have been asked. I want to introduce on Center Stage first Anjali Bhardwaj. She works now with the NCPRI, one of the best known social activists, very hardworking, very committed, used to be a close associate of Arvind Kejriwal at one point in time, has worked with him long before Arvind became a Neta, when he was still a street fighter. Prashant Okeroy is joining us, one of the best known digital journalists, cyber journalists in the country. We've got KP Singh, author, also a member of the Aam Aadmi Party, and he insists that he disclose that he's not here as an official spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. He's here in his capacity as a member, as an ordinary member of the Aam Aadmi Party. Arun Bhatia, he's spoken out on several occasions in favor of the Aam Aadmi Party, a former IAS officer joining us on our program. He's in Delhi today. He's also been very, very sympathetic towards the Aam Aadmi Party and has spoken out in their favor. We've got Dr. Kiran Walia from the Congress Party joining us on our broadcast. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Walia, for joining us on this program. We've got Dr. Harshvardhan from the BJP joining us on this program as well. Welcome, Dr. Harshvardhan. I want to go across first to Dr. Harshvardhan and get his sense of the high priest of morality, who's lecturing forever to everyone else that questions must be answered, people must live up to a high set of standards in public dealings. And today, when headlines today's cameras chased him for straight questions, the chief minister developed feet of clay. He ran away. He in fact got cops to push me and our other journalists away. What do you make of this response, Dr. Harshvardhan, that we've seen from the Delhi chief minister?
Rahulji, this is not the first day or the first time when my dear friend Arvind Kejriwal is behaving like this. He has been talking so much about transparency, probity in public life, and he has been preaching all the good things to the rest of the world. But for he himself, he considers himself a superman, some sort of a person who is above every damn thing in this world, who is above constitution, who is above laws, things like corruption, things like probity, they are meant for others. I think he should at least start practicing a little bit what he has been preaching to the whole world. We have not seen even a single day when he actually practices what he has been preaching to the whole world. This is most unfortunate that he has been shielding a minister who has been insulting virtually everything, and the latest disclosure about him, about being, you can say, owner of porn sites and being a spammer and all those things. He has been insulting women. He has been insulting judges, he has been insulting court judgments, he has been insulting leaders of this country, he has insulted virtually the Women's Commission, he has insulted his law secretary, he has insulted judges. What else do you want from him before you will sack him? I think the country needs an answer from Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. No. And now he has started insulting the media also. This is not the way a chief minister of a state should behave with the rest of the society.
No, there are two things you said, that he was selling porn sites. I must say that there is no clear link to establish that. Yes, there were porn domain names that were registered under the company that he runs. What was his linkage with the porn empire? That isn't clearly established, and I'm the first one who admits this. These are questions that have been raised. These are questions that must be answered. And what we're asking, what we're expecting, and what any right-thinking person would expect is for Arvind Kejriwal to order a probe. It just seems while he wants a probe against the Ambanis, and he wants a probe against Gadkari, he wants a probe against Digvijay Singh, he wants a probe against Sheila Dikshit, he's not prepared to order a probe by a judge that he can choose. I want to bring in Dr. Kiran Walia on the hubris, the arrogance that we are seeing. Arvind Kejriwal, the man who says everyone must answer, if people are protesting, we must go and meet them. I'm not scared of anyone. Today, running away from the headlines today. Camera, Dr. Walia, what do you make of the Chief Minister's response?
Well, I watched not only his running away, I also watched him heckling the media persons, which is very unlikely of somebody who was turning out to be a champion for people's rights, and he rode on the popularity that media created for him and managed for him. And now it's very amazing, it's appalling, and it's very denigrating that the very media which he thought was an important vehicle has, to his displeasure now, because media is exposing him, I think this is not the way that Mr. Harshvardhan also said, that you are always adopting double standards. As somebody who has always been very vocal on the issues of women, I would like to say on behalf of women of Delhi, I've been in the Delhi Commission, I happen to be a women's minister in Delhi, feel very strongly the way his colleague has behaved with women in Delhi, the way he has disregarded Delhi Commission for Women, the way even, the pornography, even if it is yet to be established, but definitely needs to be inquired into at the highest level, and Mr. Kejriwal should have come forward by now and say, I am ready for an inquiry and I would dissociate Mr. Somnath Bharti from office till truth is established. So there is something which makes it, his personality, I thought, was not only enigmatic, but now it's exposing him to be his real self. He is no more an enigma, he is no more a charisma, he is somebody who is probably trying to fool and changing democracy into mobocracy, which is something is totally deinstitutionalizing everything that's been built for years. Okay, one feels very sorry the way things are taking place.
Before I bring in the members of the Aam Aadmi Party, I want our producers to just play out once, right from the top, from the moment the Chief Minister's door opens and he emerges, just look carefully at the posse of police personnel who gather around him, and this has been planned in advance, because minutes before he exited, Somnath Bharti walked in. He told him, Ashish Mehrishi was with me over there. He told him, Ashish, that we've got cameras outside, they're waiting to accost you. That's when extra police personnel were brought in, and they physically pushed all the journalists away. Now, if Azam Khan were to do something like this, if Raja Bhaiya were to do something like this, you'd say it's power for the cause. But this is Arvind Kejriwal, and this is a betrayal of faith for him to act in this fashion. Why didn't you describe? Let's have those images run and let Ashish describe to our viewers what happened at that time.
Rahul, more importantly, one has to look, why can't he answer simple questions? Even if Arvind Kejriwal, even if he's clean, let us take Somnath Bharti to be, there is a chance that he might be clean, he's got nothing to do with top sites. Why can't he answer simple questions? And we can see it. I told you, Rahul, right in the beginning that there was a diktat from inside the cabin of Arvind Kejriwal that no camera person should be able to reach him, and that is what is visible on the screen. It is visible there. It is visible there, right there on your screen, that Arvind Kejriwal, the media was cornered in such a manner that...
You can look at that. Those are police personnel. They're trying to push us away so that the Chief Minister can get away. KP Singh, as a member of the Aam Aadmi Party...
The moment you reach the lift, before that the door was closed, and it was because of that that the wire had broken from our...
oh, don't worry. We won't sue him for damages. That's okay. That's part of news gathering, and we're not running scared. He's running scared for sure. But we're not running scared, and I don't understand. I'm happy to believe for a moment that he's got plausible explanations. Why don't I hear those answers? What do you make of Arvind Kejriwal running away from the cameras?
Rahul, okay, you're one of the leading anchors of this country. What are you doing there? I don't understand. Is that gotcha journalism? I mean, you can see your point of view. Can you see his point of view there? That I don't buy. I'm sorry.
What's your point? You
should call his press office.
We've asked them. For 2 weeks, we've asked them. One second. I must put out the facts.
As a leading anchor of this country, you have no business doing that.
I'm sorry. I'm a journalist. Forget whether I'm an anchor or not. I'm a reporter. It's my responsibility to give where the story is. You put out an investigation. It is my responsibility to seek a response from the Chief Minister.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with that? Let me try and understand what your argument is.
What are you trying to do there?
I'm asking him questions. I'm standing over there peacefully, hoping that as the Chief Minister...
Yes. While he's doing
because there was a press conference. One second, KP. One second. There was a press conference this morning at 11 a.m. where the Chief Minister was to take questions. The moment we stood up and raised our hands, without taking a single question, the press conference was called off.
Why don't you say this to Modi? Why don't you say this to Rahul Gandhi? They do the same. Mr. Kejriwal...
If there's a press conference, even Rahul Gandhi would take questions. When Modi came to the India Today conclave, he took questions. He's not running away from the cameras like Kejriwal is.
Your ego got a little hustle today, and that's why
it's got nothing to do with the ego.
This
It's
is
got
this is not
absolutely
acceptable. I'm
no.
sorry.
What is not acceptable, KP? We're
You
asking
wanna talk about
questions
Somnath
of the
Bharti,
chief
let's talk
minister.
about
No, one
Somnath Bharti,
second.
but do not go after Kejriwal for
No, one second.
It is his law minister.
Come
There are
on.
allegations against.
that's
Two
fine.
questionnaires have been
And
sent.
that's another thing.
If neither
What is
the
the
chief
accusation
minister is
against
We
replying,
will come to that once again.
What is the accusation?
Whatever be the accusation in the manner that's been put out in the last 48 hours, why can't we hear answers? Why is the chief minister running scared from
You're
answering
saying
simple
in
questions?
2006, Somnath Bharti as a private citizen, before Aam Aadmi even existed, he did something, right? That's what you're saying.
Sure.
You don't even know whether it's illegal.
No, we know it's
It may be illegal in America, but it wasn't illegal
That's
in
where
India.
the company was incorporated. It is illegal in the
Fine.
United States.
Okay.
Which is why he was
believe
given
What
that
do you
time
want?
your
What do
facts
you
in
want
place.
Delhi government to do about it?
to tell us what they make of these accusations, to tell us
To what Somnath Bharti might have done
Yes.
in 2000, might or might not have done in 2006 before Aam Aadmi Party
No, because
existed.
there is more to
before
this.
he was in public
no,
life.
there is more to this. KP, 1 second.
No, what is
if
the
he had
accusation?
admitted,
What
okay,
is-
I will tell you what the
Yeah.
accusation is. If he had admitted that he ran this firm and that it was before
Has he not
became
admitted
a
that?
law. He
No,
did. When we sent him a questionnaire, the response
Shouldn't
that we
you-
got from your party, KP,
I
saying
think
was that
everybody needs to calm
Somnath
down. You
Bharti
need to
has
have
nothing to do
what
with
you
this
need.
company.
You
I
and
can
Somnath
show you
Bharti-
details right here which show, 1 second, please look at this. Billing contact name Somnath Bharti. This is Top Sites LLC. I have an email official response which says he's got nothing to do with it. Registrant name Somnath Bharti.
But that could be old-
Administrative
that could be old
contract
information.
name
We don't know
Somnath
what
Bharti.
that is.
That's now been changed. And
They
that
may
is
be
the
updating
question.
something that
That's
was
now
old.
being
I don't
changed.
know.
Now the
What
point
is the accusation?
why is your law minister lying? That's the question number
Do
one.
you know he's lying? Do you
Of
have
course,
to-
he
what
said
is
he's
he
got
lying
nothing to
about?
do with this company.
No, what
we
is he
have
lying
traced
about?
5 companies.
He's
in
lying about
US
his association with this company.
where the address is C28 Malviya Nagar, which belongs to his company, Madgen Solutions.
And he
Private.
may or may not have broken
No,
the
no,
law.
no.
What is
It is
No,
not
why is
may
he
or may
lying?
not.
Okay, 1 second. Even if he did this as a college project, why not admit
Okay.
that this is what I did?
This is
Why
your-
lie about his association? Why put out an official comment saying,
So
I
you
don't know
wanted-
anything about this company?
You should ask
when
Somnath Bharti that. Why
he's
you
not
asking
answering-
Arvind Kejriwal
Because
that?
Arvind Kejriwal is the chief minister. He's the man
Arvind Kejriwal,
who
chief minister,
Somnath
chief
Bharti
minister in
responds to.
2006, he was
Arvind
the chief
Kejriwal
minister.
has lodged an FIR today, KP, and I'm hoping
No,
that
no,
he-
I want to talk about that, exactly.
Yes,
That's what we should be talking
Oh,
about.
absolutely. So
That
if he
there's
can
a guy-
order a FIR in
that
one case
there are
when
two
certain
parties in
complaints,
this country
1 second, when certain
who cannot
complaints,
say the name Mukesh Ambani.
which are these two parties?
BJP and Congress. That's what we should be talking about.
Oh, we
have
did
a
that
chief minister.
from 8:30 to 9. That is exactly what we discussed. So I don't think that charge is true. I'm
I
asking
still
you.
don't understand what you are. What
I'm
the
telling
exact
you,
charge against
the
Somnath Bharti
exact
is.
charge against him is that he's lying about his association
You
with
say
top
he's lying.
sites.
You say he's
I'm
lying.
not saying he's lying. He's responded saying he's got nothing to do with Prashanto Roy. I want to bring him in.
Okay.
Let's not make this personal.
Yeah.
Let's just try and stay nuanced. Let's try and stay
Exactly.
focused. Let's try and stay balanced. That's
Let's
the
do
way
that.
we
Let's
like
see what the facts
doing
are.
journalism on headlines today. Prashanto, why don't you explain why Somnath Bharti's denial of having anything to do with top sites is completely bogus, not established on fact, and why is it that top sites is an important part of an international scamming operation? KP hasn't understood it. Maybe there are others in the Aam Aadmi Party who haven't understood either. Just tell him.
So, first of all, I am a supporter and I voted for the Aam Aadmi Party. I am upset that there is a possibility of one key person there damaging the reputation of that party. What's happened here is a series of things he's done, some of them not illegal in India at that point of time, such as spamming, but he seems to be on a denial spree. So first was a denial that he had anything to do with that company. Then it turned out he had actually filed Madgen Solutions as part of his nominations. Top Sites, there are visiting cards carrying his name as CEO. Now, Top Sites was a directory scam. Very simply, it copied a whole lot of data from the Open Directory project, and it approached those webmasters and said, you pay up to retain your name here. Now, that may or may not be illegal, but it's certainly under a category called directory spam. Again, he had a complete denial of anything to do with Top Sites. And finally, that may be passed, but currently there is this thing called allwebhunt.com, which was active until the day before yesterday or maybe 3 days ago, and that was it was an operation similar to Top Sites. It was again seeking payments from webmasters. It had Somnath Bharti's name. Now again, he can say that's a different Somnath Bharti or whatever, or it's his nephew or whoever, but it
But
had
he's not saying that.
He's not saying that. So it had his name listed in the staff. Now this story, which it came out in one of the leading papers in the Times of India, mentioned this all web hunt, and within hours after it coming out, that website was taken down, but it still exists in the Google cache. So there is this trail of evidence, some circumstantial, some absolutely clear digital footprints which suggests that he is connected with Madgen, of course, no denial, with top sites, very likely from the set of 3 or 4 things which are there. And I don't, there might be a plausible explanation, so I don't see the reason.
And I must say this, KP, this channel has been accused in the past, as several other media organizations, of being highly sympathetic towards the Aam Aadmi Party. That's what the Congress and the BJP were both saying continuously.
They say lots of things.
And I am still prepared to say that there is a possibility that there may be a perfectly plausible explanation, that there might indeed be an associate who misused Somnath Bharti's name. Why are we not hearing from either Somnath Bharti or Arvind Kejriwal? Order a probe, let the truth emerge.
Arvind Kejriwal not in all this. You have.
He's the chief minister. He must order a probe.
He is not chief minister in 2006 when
he's
all
the chief
this went
minister
down.
now. The questions have risen now.
Somnath Bharti has to explain this to the public.
He's not doing that either.
Well, I suggest you should come out and do that. You should have an interview with him.
Oh, I met him. I told him, let's interview you. He refused to be interviewed.
I'm sure he'll come out and do it.
So why hasn't he done it so far?
Because he obviously.
Why are they running scared?
Your overly aggressive attitude is obviously not
I'm
helpful.
not being aggressive. I'm stating facts.
It seems like
we put out the questionnaire several weeks ago. We haven't heard responses.
Give it some time. I'm sure he'll come back.
How much time do you want? You've already had 14 days.
You accused him of may or may not have committed a crime, may or may not be illegal, may or may not even be Somnath Bharti, maybe his nephew. So
no, there's no nephew involved. That's Suresh Raina's nephew, and I think you're getting confused. The point that is being made over here is that Somnath Bharti told me this afternoon.
What is the accusation? What is number one accusation?
The accusation is that he's part of a scam which was being run in his name.
No, there's no scam.
There is a scam.
You said spam, now you're saying scam, now you're using the word.
He just explained to you the spamming scam.
Which was not illegal in India.
Which, no, if it is established, it does fall under section 420.
No, but in 2006, what was the law in India at that point?
2004, you mean?
Yeah. So 420, of course, goes way back in history from the British time. So that's not the point. The point is the stop sites, at one point it advertised its net profits at $1.8 million.
Okay, this is all very detailed. So
no, you don't want to listen to the details. Why do you want to have a superficial discussion?
Explain to me what the accusation is.
Sir, you have to understand the fact there are 5 companies which have been registered in US. The data of the Secretary of the State of Iowa very clearly says these 5 companies have been registered, and the address is C28 Malviya Nagar, and that is the year 2004-2005. It is the same year when Somnath Bharti shifted his office from 42 Khidki extension to 28 Malviya Nagar.
So that's the question you have to ask Mr. Bharti.
Please, let me complete.
Arvind Kejriwal
Let me complete.
Because he has to answer the questions.
Rahul, you're not paparazzi and he isn't.
This is not about paparazzi. This is about serious investigative journalism. These are questions that the Chief Minister needs to answer.
I'm sure he will give you an interview.
Oh, we've got plenty of interviews and we couldn't care less about whether he gives an interview or not. This is not about
interviews. You will get it, I'm sure. No doubt.
It doesn't matter.
It does not give you excuse to stand outside his office like paparazzi.
You have to understand on the name of these companies. What we seek are answers.
Mr. Somnath Bharti, I'm sure has answers to your questions.
Why isn't he answering them?
On the name
of official representative from the Aam Aadmi Party is prepared to come.
If this hadn't become ego clash,
it's not about an ego battle.
And Somnath Bharti,
this is not about an ego battle at all. This is about an investigative piece of journalism that's been put out to which we've heard no response. I want to go across to Anjali Bhardwaj. As someone who's worked with Arvind Kejriwal from his days as a street activist, what do you make, ma'am, of Arvind Kejriwal running away from the cameras in the manner that he did today?
Well, let me say, Rahul, that the questions that you're raising are very serious questions, and they're questions that deserve answers. I think what is disappointing in what I have heard so far is the fact that the reason why people of Delhi gave a mandate to the Aam Aadmi Party was there was a certain disenchantment with the existing political parties that we have. In fact, today itself, and I would like to mention this, whistleblowers' families, people who have been killed for exposing corruption, their families are in the capital. And we've had several problems both with the Congress and the BJP where they are questioning the Congress party and saying, you're not walking your talk. Please walk the talk, because you're saying that you're serious about bringing a whistleblowers protection bill, about a grievance redress bill, but you're not doing it on the floor of the House. And the Congress party wouldn't be very happy about it. Similarly, the BJP, when they are being questioned, those families were actually arrested today because the BJP, none of the party leaders came out and spoke to them, and they were arrested. What is upsetting people in this country today is this high-handedness of political parties, and which is why the Aam Aadmi Party was seen by a lot of people in this alternative. And what they really need to understand is that they need to focus on governance, they need to focus on making sure that they are open to dissent, they are open to differing voices, they are open to differing opinions, and they are open to questioning. They need to understand that people want to be consulted, people have questions they want answers to, and they cannot be close to it, because that is really why people brought them into power in Delhi in the first place.
They were the alternate hope.
They were the alternate hope.
They were supposed to be different from the BJP and the Congress.
And right now,
you're saying, would Modi do this? Would Rahul do this? Maybe they would do exactly the same, KP, but that's where the appeal of Arvind Kejriwal lay. And that is what he's not living up to. I want to go across to Dr. Harshvardhan on what we are hearing from the Aam Aadmi Party. They're saying this is about Somnath Bharti. Don't involve Arvind Kejriwal. He's got nothing to do with it. This happened in Somnath Bharti's life prior to him becoming a politician in the Aam Aadmi Party. So therefore, Arvind Kejriwal can't answer for what Somnath Bharti did. Dr. Harshvardhan.
You see, I am shocked to hear this from the representatives of the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yes.
I think who started their politics on a very bright note. Now they are trying to de-link the past life of a politician with his present life. If it was so, all the criminals of the country, they will have a right to become the chief minister, MPs and MLA, and they will come and say that their past has nothing to do with their present. What is this type of politics that we are trying to promote again in this country? I think we can understand the arrogance of the chief minister, but the representatives of the Aam Aadmi Party are talking, I think, absolutely rubbish things. They are trying to befool this country.
You know, I want to bring in also at this time two other representatives who worked very closely and been associated with the movement against corruption, who've seen Kejriwal emerge. Devendra Sharma joins us from Chandigarh. We've got Arun Bhatia with us, Priyanka Chaturvedi also. I want to go across to Devendra Sharma first. As someone who's been very sympathetic towards Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, what do you make of the priest of morality running away from direct questions at a time when he wants allegations against others probed, but doesn't want even to answer questions about a member of his own party, Devendra Sharma?
Well, let me at the outset make first two comments that, of course, yes, I do support his policies. I do like his policies, and I do like the approach that he has been taking. At the same time, I do not know much about this particular case.
Sure.
I have not been following in detail. But one thing is very clear, that, this Aam Aadmi Party was a party with difference. And I think they have to demonstrate it that they are a party with difference. If they are trying to follow Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi or Manmohan Singh or Robert Vadra, who don't ever come back and ask or answerable, I think that's not the strategy that they should be adopting. Whatever the merits or demerits of the case be, I feel that Aam Aadmi Party should take it on and respond. Let's be very clear, because if we question others, we also must be willing to answer all those questions. So what I'm expecting is that, like in the case of string operation that we had before the elections, I remember Yogendra Yadav saying that, we will take the tapes, we will try to examine and then come back to you, take a decision. I think why can't we, in this particular case also, they take all the facts together and they have a kind of a internal inquiry and come out with a
No, why should this be an internal inquiry, Arun Bhatia? I don't believe in this Khap Panchayat style inquiry. Let there be an independent probe.
Whatever it is.
Either the cops, no, why should this be an internal inquiry? You will come up with a clean sheet, as has been the case in every other case that's arisen against Aam Aadmi Party members. Before this, they always give each other a clean sheet. Let there be an independent probe, which would have some validity, which would have some sanctity, which would have some credibility. Arun Bhatia, is that not the least we should expect from someone who's preaching to the entire nation on morality?
Can I just say, Rahul, can I just say that?
Go on.
Can I just answer? Yeah, I think what you are saying is very valid. Let them have an internal inquiry also then, but then since the issue has now become very big, why can't we have an open kind of a discussion? I would definitely love that if they answer questions as to what are being raised by you.
And why should these questions be answered behind closed doors? Why should it happen in an internal
That's right.
meeting of the Aam Aadmi Party? You want to do Mohalla Sabhas, you said you will do cabinets in front of the public. So let these questions be asked on live television, let they be answered on live television, let Arvind Kejriwal be there, let Somnath Bharti be there, and let the people of India listen to what Arvind Kejriwal and Somnath Bharti have to say.
Right.
Is that not only fair to expect Mr. Arun Bhatia?
Yes. Rahul, you are saying is very right, and I think that should be done. They should not get away from it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm glad that you agree.
Yeah, first of all, I think we have to give the correct signal. What crime is it? How serious is it? Somebody says spamming is not serious, it's not a crime. Somebody says yes, it's an old law, it is a crime. Let's have clarity on that, because we can't take a small issue and blow it up. Number one. Number two, it's not clear whether this minister was aware of what his partner was doing or not. That's also a grey area. So,
okay, I have a very simple question. Arun Bhatia, before you go any further, if the minister was not aware what his partner was doing, why has he not sued him? If the minister was not aware about what his partner was doing, why is there no case against him?
I'm just finishing, sir. Hear me out.
Yes, sir.
So, I think that crimes have to be categorized as serious and non-serious for the sake of the public. I'm not defending anybody, but I'm not convinced about the seriousness of this crime, and many other people. I'm in touch with people also. So I think that needs to be clarified from your channel. Having said that, I do believe that yes, there should be complete transparency. People should come and defend themselves. The law minister should give a point-by-point rebuttal. You're 100% right there. We respect the media. It's your job to ask questions. It's their job to answer. That part I respect.
Oh, that's all that we are saying. And I want to state this once again so that people understand where we are coming from, Mr. Bhatia. I am not claiming that we have all the answers. I am saying this investigation, apart from establishing direct connection between Somnath Bharti and Topsides LLC, and Topsides LLC was involved in a spamming scam, raises questions. Those questions must be answered. Why is Kejriwal and why is Somnath Bharti running away? Why are they not answering those questions? That is all I ask. And is that too much to ask Priyanka Chaturvedi, especially given the high moral position that Kejriwal has taken on every other case before this? Priyanka Chaturvedi.
No, I would expect everyone. I've been listening to everyone for last 20-25 minutes. I would need 2 minutes to make my point of view. Now, if we would look at the past, ever since the entire people movement began with Kejriwal, he has been doing things which are totally different from what he's been speaking. There have been separate set of rules that he has for other parties, while he talks about being above suspicion in every other thing that he's done. Now he talks about internal probe, whether it was Anjali Damania's case, whether it was Shazia Ilmi. They do an internal probe and give them a clean sheet. Now my point here is, what you've been making, Rahul, is clearly that if there is nothing that Somnath Bharti has done, he should be willing to face a probe, and not an internal probe.
Absolutely.
A probe which takes into consideration whatever the charges have been made against him. Why is it that he is not willing to face these questions while he goes pointing a finger at the world? He's pointing a finger at just about everyone and anyone. So if he wants to walk the talk, the first thing he needs to do is order a probe against Somnath Bharti and let him come cleaner after the probe is done.
Oh, absolutely. Is that not the least that should be done, Dr. Harshvardhan? Because to say that Modi won't answer your questions, Rahul Gandhi will not even allow you to stand outside the secretariat, that almost brings Kejriwal immediately on the same plank as those he set out to overturn, as those he set out to oppose. How can he draw an equivalence today between his actions and those of the BJP and the Congress? Would you be satisfied if the Aam Aadmi Party were to say, we've looked at this internally, we've got lots of tech experts, they've looked at it and this is bogus? So do you think the least that Kejriwal should do to live up to the standards he likes to set and likes to demand of others is order an independent probe? Headlines today won't be involved, the Aam Aadmi Party shouldn't be involved. Let an independent expert probe this. Dr. Harshvardhan.
You see, if he is so sure about his minister, and if he is so sure that he is not even ready to answer the questions of the media, why should he have any objection in having an independent probe? Let it be a judicial probe, and till the time the judicial probe proves or disproves, he should ask his minister to resign. The way he has been demanding the politicians from other parties, he has been hurling wild accusations and allegations against everybody in this world, of cutting across anything. He thinks that everybody is corrupt. He wants all of them to quit politics. He wants all of them to resign even before their charges are proved, and he has different parameters and double standards for his own colleagues and partymen. I think the country needs a lot of explanation from the Chief Minister of Delhi.
KP, are you willing to accept this at the very least, that there should be an independent judicial probe? Let a retired judge establish what the bona fides of this case are. Let Somnath Bharti not be involved, let Kejriwal not be involved. Is this not the least he would have demanded of others? Imagine if Kejriwal was in opposition and Sheila Dikshit was in power, by now he would have been doing a 24/7 dharna outside Sheila Dikshit's house.
Okay, let me get to that. We have Dr. Harshvardhan, very senior leader of the BJP, with us today. Does he have anything to say on the accusations against Reliance Industries and the natural gas price hike? Because nobody else on BJP seems to be saying anything.
No, we had a discussion on it at 8:30.
That's I would like to hear what Dr. Harshvardhan, Chief Minister candidate at Delhi, does he have anything to say about that?
No, let him answer. Let's see what he has to say.
Pardon?
Go on.
Sir, do you have anything to say about the accusations against Reliance Industries and the natural gas price hike today?
You see, any accusation, if he has a proof, he should, I think, put it before the whole country and order any inquiry. We are for any inquiry, but there should not be double standards.
What is the double standard, sir?
The double standard is he's ordered a probe against the Ambanis. He's not willing to order a probe against Somnath Bharti.
What is the probe about?
The probe is, was he involved in this scam? Does he have an involvement with Topsides LLC? Why did he lie about his association with Topsides LLC? Those are the questions that need to be answered. Are they not?
You're making it sound as if he's not a spammer but some kind of serial murderer. I mean, that's, you're just raising it to, we don't know what the accusation is, why it is, we get to the probe.
No, if you are you so blinded by your love for the Aam Aadmi Party that you can't understand what the accusations are, despite Prashant Roy explaining them to you.
No, I think despite the points involved, and now the points that Anjali is going to cover this till the end of time.
You must.
There's a general election coming up.
No, don't worry about it.
28 states.
One second, Anjali Bhardwaj, please respond to KP.
I don't understand. You are not clear on the accusation.
No, of course we are very clear on the accusation.
You're saying he did something, may have done something, could have done something. That's not true. We can't have probe based on what Rahul Kanwal has to say.
One second. Let's understand this one by one. First and foremost, please. He lied about his association with Topsides LLC, which he said he had absolutely nothing to do with. We went to the registrar of companies in Iowa and found out that those companies were registered in his name, they were registered at his address. This is a company that's been involved in a spamming operation, a spamming scam. You just heard Prashanto explain that to you at length, and I hope that you understood. He says he had nothing to do with it. Those companies were registered in his name. In his defense, he says...
Allegedly registered in his name.
Those were registered in his name. He says in his defense that there is an associate who misused my name and identity. First and foremost, in law, that is not good enough. And if he were to say that an associate misused his name, if someone tweets on your handle because he has access to your handle, you are still responsible for whatever he says.
Twitter now, huh?
No, it's not about Twitter. That is exactly what it is. I'm just drawing a parallel for you to understand. For you to understand, because clearly we're not getting through to you. I don't know what the reason is. Please hear me out. If there is an associate who has indeed misused Somnath Bharti's name, then Somnath Bharti should be lodging a case against him, should be suing him.
Did you ask him this afternoon?
I asked him this.
What did he say?
He said, I thought it's not important enough. I asked him this question this afternoon.
Okay,
why don't you still sue him? No, now I'm glad that we are getting through to you, because so far we haven't got
But this has nothing to do with Mr.
No, but you're not answering the question.
I use your identity, your address, your name to book the domain name. What is your first reaction going to be?
Mr. Bharti has to answer that.
No, I'm glad that at least now you've understood the acquisition. It's taken us 40 minutes to get there. But I'm glad that you finally understood what the accusation is. I want to understand from you, because finally we're getting through to KP, which is important, because so far he wasn't even willing to understand what the accusation is.
You didn't make me understand.
I want to go across to Anjali on the question that Somnath Bharti gives in his defense. He says that somebody misused my name. Is it not then logical to ask, why has Paul Ogner not been sued earlier or now? He's still not filed any case against him. There's this mysterious Ogner doing all these things in poor Somnath Bharti's name, putting him on the list of the 200 worst spammers of the world, and Somnath Bharti is not acting against him. Why?
Well, Rahul, in this particular case, I think there is a very clear set of questions which you are raising. And I think that it's a prima facie from whatever I hear right now. I understand that these are things that need to be probed and they need to be investigated.
Absolutely.
Now, all that I want to say is that what we have heard the Aam Aadmi Party in fact say even earlier is that they come up with an accusation, and something that we've been saying to even the Aam Aadmi Party is that when there is an accusation, the demand really has to be for a proper probe, for a proper and fair investigation which is independent. Because the point is that when you're making an accusation and the Aam Aadmi Party is looking at that accusation, there is a certain sense of either ownership or a certain blindness, and therefore there is a need for an independent
That's a very important point,
case.
Dr. Kiran Walia. We've seen in instance after instance when Arvind Kejriwal levels a charge against someone else, the very utterance of that charge is deemed to be the gospel truth, whereas a charge leveled against somebody from within the Aam Aadmi Party is dismissed as if there's some motivation in the charge. Last week they did a press conference thanking us and congratulating us for a brilliant expose on the Delhi police which brought their point out. Today, when the charge is against one of their own, within 48 hours, motivations are hurled against the team of journalists who are doing that story. Is this not rank double standards, Dr. Kiran Walia?
Well, I would like to say one thing, that Aam Aadmi Party is now not a conglomerate of individuals, but it is a party.
Sure.
And most of the Aam Aadmi supporters here, I think, doing more harm to their party by trying to defend the indefensible. This is not what the society thought of them. Now, it's extremely important, the kind of point that you have raised and the kind of heckling that one has seen on your screen today, that this is what they're trying to put a lid on. If they have nothing to hide, then why are they not coming out with a probe? Today also they level charges against union ministers, that there'll be an FIR against this one, that one, and SIT and everything. But I totally agree with the view that any party worth its name, and many parties have earned some kind of an unwilling acceptance by the public for what they're trying to do, which public does not accept today in the public domain. And this is where
Dr. Harshvardhan, when a charge is leveled against, say, Nitin Gadkari,
and it must have a probe instituted.
When a charge is leveled against a Nitin Gadkari, the very leveling of that charge is deemed to be a proof of guilt. And over here, questions are being asked, and I state that once again, we don't have all the answers. We've dug out some questions. Those questions need to be probed by an investigator. They're not even willing to answer the questions, let alone order a probe. Is this not rank double standards and hypocrisy, Dr. Harshvardhan?
Rahul, what I wanted to say is that last 55 minutes I have seen,
yes,
you have only focused on the spammer and the so-called porn site business of Mr. Somnath Bharti. I think this is only 5 to 10% of what his misconduct has been since the time he became a minister. You start from the very beginning, and I think we have forgotten what all he has done in this last 1 month. Starting from insulting his law secretary, calling a meeting of the judges, then misbehaving with a foreign national woman, then misbehaving with the Women Commission, then abusing the top leaders of this country, abusing the literally rejecting the court judgments, insulting the judges, insulting virtually everybody. There are a series of things that he has done. He has insulted the media, abused the media, said मोदी ने कितना पैसा तुमको दिया, तुम्हारे मुंह पे थूकूंगा, ऐसा उन्होंने बड़े नेताओं के लिए बोला. I think we have forgotten all this. Is it something that we expect from a minister of the capital of this country, and particularly from an educated law minister?
Has it now become...
How does Mr. Arvind Kejriwal justify all this conduct of the minister?
Why is Kejriwal defending Somnath Bharti so much that he's not even prepared to order an independent probe? Has it become a matter of ego? And I want to put that question first to Devendra Sharma and then to Arun Bhatia. Devendra Sharma, you go first. You've admitted there should be an independent probe, but the Chief Minister clearly seems unwilling. What is at play over here? Has ego got the better of the Chief Minister?
I don't know. I think it's very sad. Being an investigative journalist myself, I remember when I used to do the investigations when I was a journalist, and I see the same kind of pattern to be followed now. So what I would expect from Aam Aadmi Party, they should accept that, they should come out and answer all the questions that you are raising or are being raised in the media. B, if there is a need, they should go for an independent probe. But I don't think there's a need for a judicial probe in this particular case. But I don't know why should one hang on to this, this kind of ego, what you call, as to, we will not go in for any kind of probe against Somnath Bharti. I think it has been accepted by many of the party members that Somnath Bharti is the lowest point as far as the people's confidence is concerned, as far as the Aam Aadmi Party image is concerned. So I think they should try to rectify it, because it will be good for them in the long run. They need to understand this, and I'm sure they're in the learning process.
Because Arun Bhatia, at this time, there are people watching this broadcast who are looking at the actions of the Aam Aadmi Party. As Anjali said very correctly, they expected the Aam Aadmi Party to be different both from the BJP and the Congress. And when KP comes on the show and says that Rahul and Modi would have done exactly what Arvind Kejriwal did to you, it shows the hollowness of where the Aam Aadmi Party and the Chief Minister have reached today, that you're now on the same parallel. You're saying Modi would have done the same, Rahul Gandhi would have done the same. I'll come back to you, KP. I want Arun Bhatia. You can't take a disproportionate part of the airtime. I'm coming back. You make that point again and again.
I know you want a punching bag.
I want to go across to Arun Bhatia. One second.
Who has an ego problem with Somnath Bharti, so he spent 1 hour on national TV discussing Reliance Industries and Mukesh Ambani.
If you allow Arun Bhatia to respond,
even take Mr. Mukesh Ambani's name. She says,
allow Arun Bhatia to respond. We'll come back to you. Hold your horses, wait your turn. Yes, Mr. Bhatia.
Yes, Aam Aadmi Party should come, face the media, be transparent, answer each and every question. It doesn't make us feel very nice when we see the chair of Aam Aadmi Party vacant and us guys have to come and present ourselves there. We are all there. We want the Aam Aadmi Party to win this country, but they must answer, I agree. But what is happening here is that because of this one incident, across the board, the party is being criticized. Somebody just now said he has abused our senior leaders. It is the senior leaders of the last 60 years that have brought the country to this pass. It's a corrupt country. Most leaders are corrupt. Most bureaucrats are corrupt. So if you get up on the stage and say 3 cheers to him, Reliance के बारे में कितने लिखा है papers में? This company is dubious, it gets licenses, it gets policy molded in its own fashion. Now when the guy lodges an FIR, you are blaming him, saying evidence nahi hai, evidence nahi. He has only asked the police to inquire. What's wrong with that?
Do exactly the same.
One incident and
when it comes to charges against Somnath Bharti, that's the limited and the precise point. I'm making. I'm out of time. Quick final words from Anjali Bhardwaj, as a former associate of Arvind Kejriwal who understands what makes this man tick. If he's watching this broadcast, and I know that they're tracking the story very closely, what do you wish to tell your friend tonight?
Well, I think it's very clear that people do expect the Aam Aadmi Party to be a party with a difference. And if they have to be a party with a difference, they're a new party, they've just started out and people have lots of expectations of them. I think it would be clearly important for them to come out, to be open to questions, to give answers clearly, to reach out and consult. I know that a lot of people in Delhi are very concerned that the Jan Lokpal bill, the Swaraj bill have not been shared with the people of this city, and they haven't been in fact consulted, which was something that people were expecting. So there are many things where there is a scope for improvement.
But there's a difference between what they're saying and what they're doing.
And where there seems to be a difference between what they were saying that they would do and what they're doing.
We're out of time. Prashant, the 20 seconds.
It's important for them.
As someone who voted for the Aam Aadmi Party, I think they've had poor internal advice, which is surprising since they have very major professionals there. I think Mr. Bharti needs to come clean, especially on things which are really straightforward and simple. Spamming was not a crime. He can come forward and say, okay, I did it. I was young, whatever. But instead,
why lie about it?
Why lie about it? Why say it was an associate, a nephew, a sister,
and if there's
a mother?
an associate, sue him.
Whatever.
Why
absolutely
still not sue him? Those are simple questions. I think they're very, very simple questions over here, which Somnath Bharti first and then Arvind Kejriwal need to respond to. Running away from cameras is not going to work, because Arvind Kejriwal, wherever you go, our cameras will chase you. And we will do this till the time we get satisfactory answers, because you have set a standard. You want others to live by those standards. The least people expect is for you to live by the standards you demand of others. And you've heard today mostly from supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party. And if this is what supporters are thinking, then reflect and introspect on what you really are doing wrong at this time. We're out of time in Centrestage tonight.